Hey folks, Rich here, South Florida Beekeeping with Rich. And I'm finally going to get a chance to try my Christmas present. Okay, I had to do crush and strain on the Poppleton hive. I knew I'd have to do crush and strain on it, so I indulged myself and got an apple press at Christmas, you know, before Trump actually got into office, but he was already talking tariffs, so I ordered it from China before things got troublesome. And we're going to try it now. So yesterday I harvested 7 frames out of the Poppleton hive, chopped it all up. It's been in here dripping overnight. This always makes a mess because it's never finished. We've got about to here with honey that's been through a strainer. You can see from the bottom of this here. So normally I would leave it in here for several days and I would leave it in full sun, but it has been raining all day today. It only stopped raining here about an hour and a half ago. So not wanting it to be exposed to all this humidity for too long, we're going to go ahead and use the press and see what happens. It's the first time I've used it. We're going to find out together how this works. So,
Okay.
get a shot of that. I can't hold it there to you. I can just start spooning it in.
And that's a mesh bag that you're putting it in?
A very, very fine mesh bag, yeah.
And that came with the press?
This one did. I could just as easily be using a paint strainer bag for this, or any folded up piece of fine sheer material. And when I say sheer, I mean sheer. Your wives would know what we're talking about.
As in sheer curtain?
As in sheer curtains. So had I simply chopped all this out and, put it straight in here, it would have been way too big a mess. So we're going to start with that. That goes into the inner bucket. Inner bucket goes into the outer bucket. Outer bucket goes into there. And to keep from having a mess later on, the instructions on YouTube didn't say to do that, but it just makes common sense to go ahead and put a piece of parchment paper so you don't have a mess to clean out, since we're going to have to do several squeezings.
What is this press normally used for?
Well, they call it a apple press.
Oh, so
press.
cider?
Any, you can squeeze apples, pears, tomatoes, strawberries, whatever you wanted.
I see. You want to move the pan in front a little bit.
I'll move it back when I see something coming out of there, dear.
Yeah, I don't see anything coming out yet.
Neither do I.
Maybe that comb was rather dry to start with. I mean, it did sit overnight, right?
Yeah, and I stir it with a big spoon every couple of hours to turn it around. But I know it could be a whole lot drier than it is.
Yeah.
But if nothing else, we just keep packing plugs like this in, and then I can store it until such time as we have good weather again and I can put it all in the solar melter. get some honey out before the wax starts coming out.
So while he's cranking away there, this is what it says it's a fruit press, and there's the make and model number.
All that you really have to know is that there's 3 sizes of them, and I got the middle size. If you go looking online for Vevor fruit presses for this model, you'll see it comes in 3 sizes.
Yeah, it's a
Which gives you very, a few things measured in centimeters doesn't give you a whole lot of information. So, well, while I see honey squeezing out the top, I'm not seeing any honey squeezing out the bottom yet.
You're right, it is coming out the top.
But it's not coming out the bottom. I can see it coming out around the edges. It's just not, the tube is higher than the amount of honey that we're probably going to get out of here.
Oh.
So in one sense, this is a failure because I didn't put in fresh, juicy cappings. I was using the drier stuff.
I could see if you just put in fresh cappings that you have sieving through your bucket system, that it would have probably produced a result.
Well, the next thing we'll try is I'll take this plug out and we'll put some in without using the bag, but I'll still use the paper on top,
Oh,
and we'll see if we get a little something that way.
because it's going to make a mess in the bottom anyway,
Yeah.
whether you use the bag or not. The whole thing's spinning, honey. I don't know if the top's coming up or not.
Well, yeah, it's coming up. It's a screw drive gear. It is going to come up whether it's all spinning or not.
Oh, I see. Do you think the bag is absorbing some of the honey? Is that why
No,
you're
I think the
thinking?
bag is fine enough that it's acting. You know the commercials where they take a screen door and put that polymer stuff on it and use it in the bottom of a boat? That's the sort of thing that's going on here. It could
Oh.
be, the honey could be thick enough that it's blocking the channels there. Eventually, it would come out, but maybe not immediately. So let's just take this out.
It's very compressed.
Oh yeah. You want to see what that looks like? You can.
Yep, it's squished.
It's squished. I'll just put that on the inside lid of the bucket out of the way.
Was the bag supposed to make it easier to clean?
And well, I'm supposed to keep all the stuff in one place. So let's try this a second time without the bag. We've still got plenty. Hey, it's kind of like experimental archaeology here.
Just giving it a shot to see what happens.
Yep.
Why not?
Well, there's a member of the club who has used a press like this and does crush and strain, but I never was in a position to talk to him in detail about how he does it. So,
Well, when we were up at the Bee College, I think it was up at IFAS, the one that I went to, and we were doing the tour, they had a crusher that they were using for crush and strain. But I didn't get to see it used. I just got to, I just got to see the instrument itself. It wasn't being used at the moment. That's a lot.
yeah, but it is as much air as it is anything else. I'm getting a nice chunk out of the bottom here where, the stuff from the top has gotten into the bottom. And
It's wetter.
It's wetter. as long as I'm under the top. So I have some place to put that paper. That's all I care about. So let's see if we get a better result this way.
And might I suggest before you start pressing that you go ahead and move the tube all the way to the side and push the pan under it, and that way you don't have to worry about when it starts coming out.
All right.
There you go.
Yep. Whooshing out the top all the way around.
Gushing out the top.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I see that.
Hmm.
We're not coming out the bottom yet.
Yep.
And it must be getting tougher to screw that down too.
Well, I mean, there's more resistance. Wow, foamy honey.
Lots of it gushing out the top.
Yeah.
Do you have this screwed down in the board? Yeah, I guess you do.
I have this screwed to the board here, yes.
Well,
There's honey.
well, I think this probably works better not on the dry stuff. I'm gonna.
Yeah, but it's a self-regulating sort of thing. What can drip out by gravity to start with would easily squeeze out anyway, but it would still leave you with a wet plug.
Yeah.
So I'm
This
going
is
to convert. I'm going to convert this thing into 3 wet plugs, one way or the other, and we'll put them into the solar wax melter. But I'll configure it so that I catch the honey that heats up and comes out of it before the wax starts melting,
Yeah.
and we will see how much we get.
So, not so much this setup.
Not as great as I thought. I still absolutely love my setup here,
The double buckets.
the double bucket strainer system, because all I do is, usually I spend several days. It's just that with the humidity at 100%, as it's been raining most of the day, I don't want it out here so much to hygroscopically
Yeah, and there's
absorb
small
too
holes
much.
in the bottom of the bucket, and then you got a paint strainer in the top of the bottom bucket, so it all goes through the paint strainer, and then you've got a honey door on the bottom, and that catches the
gate.
majority of the wax.
Majority of the honey. Yeah,
I
the
meant
wax stays up
the
here.
wax stays up here. It catches the majority of the wax, so it stays out of the honey.
Oh yeah, well. Yeah, I was originally taught by someone who just took a big mesh bag, filled it full, they crushed it by hand like this, filled it full, took it into an air-conditioned room, tied it from a beam, suspended from or not from a beam, they set up a ladder, tied it to the ladder, and let it drip into a bucket underneath it, and left it there for several days. But 30 years ago, I had a friend named David who was a beekeeper, and he had this huge screen with a trough of metal underneath it, and he let those cappings stay on that screen for a week. And as he said, even after a week, he would still be getting a slight drip. So look how much honey we've gotten out the top of this at this point.
Yeah. So would it be worth pouring the honey off the top? Through the paint strainer, maybe?
Well, in a sense, but when I'll unscrew this, or I'll just
And it'll all go
unput-
back down.
I don't know if it'll all go back down or it won't go all back down, but the thing is that lid where it's on is going to come up. I'm going to have to give it some time, and then we can pour it through there. Um, and I will continue to play with this. But at this moment in time, I'm going to say that this myth is kind of busted. I mean, yeah, I've seen these things where on the Greek islands where the beekeepers harvest by having this huge press, but I mean, that thing puts on tons of force. It's like a beam 15 inches by 15 inches by 12 feet long with a massive piece that comes down here, eaves down on it.
Well, it seems to me
all this sort
that
of
if you
thing.
don't have the double bucket system, or you don't want to set up a double bucket system, and you like the press idea better, that the press would work on fresh cappings.
It would,
It just
but
doesn't
again,
work that well on dry cappings.
it's an expense. This costs next to nothing.
Yeah.
And like I said, one day I went out to help a guy, and he had massive amounts of honey. This was the side of a barn. We took the plywood sheet off, 15 feet of honey. So I said, "You got any clean plastic buckets? You got a drill?" Okay. In a few minutes, boom, we made one of these setups. They're dead easy to make and inexpensive. I would not waste the money on this unless in playing with it, I come up with some awesome revelation, which I don't think I'm going to.
If we do, we'll make another video.
We'll make another video. Well, wait a minute. Let me just put something to tip it.
Well, it is starting to drip. Whoop. It is starting to drip. So
Okay, maybe it's not such a complete waste.
maybe it's not a total failure.
Huh.
But for now,
you know, in the legacy of Mythbusters, I think this myth is busted. Bye bye, everybody.